Okay, so this is what I've been studying, right? To be honest, I'm gonna just make this simple. So this is the Forest Strategy Assistant that I use. I usually use this market analysis table over here, and I go through all of these pairs, AUD/USD, EUR/USD, NZD/USD, all the way down to AUD/CHF, and I study the market. I could do it here in the charts because, as you guys can see, it shows me the charts, but I prefer to use TradingView, which is the best app for me, in my opinion, to use. So I go to TradingView and then I analyze the markets. The way I analyze the markets is if I see the weekly, the daily, or the 4 hour time frame are all heading to the same direction. What do I mean by this? The weekly is bullish, the daily is bearish, and the 4 hours bearish, just like AUD/USD. If the weekly is bullish and the daily is bearish and the 4 hours bearish, I know that this market will be bearish. But another example will be if the, let's see right here, a bullish market right here. If the, for AUD/JPY, if the weekly is bullish, the daily is bullish, but the 4 hours bearish, I still know that that market is bullish. But now if we come to this example, let me see right here, down here, it's AUD/CHF. If the weekly is bearish, then the daily is bullish, and then the 4 hour is bearish, I don't know what it is. It's even if it's bullish or bearish. I'm just not interested in that pair because I just don't know what direction the market will be heading to. And it could, apply the same thing if, let's say, the weekly is bullish, then the 4 hour is bullish, but then the daily is bearish, something like that. So that's how I study the markets. I try to find first if it's bullish or bearish on the weekly, the daily, and the 4 hour. Once that happens, I want to try to find this important three important things in my pre-trade checklist. So I usually select the pair, let's say it's AUD/USD, and then based on what I analyze here on the pairs, on the weekly, daily, and 4 hour, I'm like, okay, so this market is bullish. Now, what is AUD/USD? It's bearish. Okay, so this market is bearish. I could apply a risk percentage. This is optional. So if you don't want to put nothing over here, you could just put NA or literally nothing, right? And then over here, you got to check on the market. All time frames head in the same direction. Do all time frames and AUD/USD go to the same direction? No, just the daily and the 4 hour go to the same direction. That means that only two of them go to the same direction. So it's not a 27% because all of them don't head to the same direction. It's only 18% because just two of them head to the same direction. And if it's something like AUD/CHF where it's bearish, bullish, and bearish, it will be a 9% because none of them really head to the same direction, following the pattern, following the straight line, that it should be following, And then the second question I gotta ask: does it have a strong area of interest points that touch 3 or more times? What's a strong area of interest point that touches 3 or more times? So if we come here to my strategy guide, it shows you guys the way I trade. So as I mentioned, you first gotta find if the chart is bullish or bearish. So if you guys see over here, right here, this will be like a lower. Just put it like that. This will be a lower low, and this will be lower high. And then you see that this came lower than this lower low. So now this became the lower low. And this became this was the lower high and this was the lower low. And then once this broke structure, now this became the lower low and this became the lower high. And then now this one became a low because it's lower than this, and this became the new lower high. But when this market broke structure from this area right here, from the lower high, now it had a new higher high, meaning that this right here will be a higher low. Then over here, the structure was broken again, and now this became a new higher high, and this became a new higher low. Then right here, you guys can see that the structure was broken once again. So now it's not longer a bullish market, it's now a bearish market because now this is the lower low and this is the lower high, and that's all we know on this market, just to say it like that. So that's how I identify a bullish or bearish, market on every time frame, on the daily, weekly, 4 hour. Those are the only three things I want to know. And now we're like trying to find an area of interest. What's an area of interest? As guys know, is the price zone where it's usually respected, so it's like a supply and demand zone where usually the market comes to this zone and it uses it as support or it uses it as resistance. What support? Support is like a floor, think about it as a floor where a ball, usually a basketball, usually bounces and comes back, and think of resistance as your hand on the basketball. You have the basketball bounces on the floor, comes back and resists on your hand and bounces back up and down, something like that, So a good way to find an area of interest point is to find it between the lower high and the lower low. So it has to be inside of this area, because if it goes above it, it wouldn't be longer a bearish market, or it would be a bullish market. And if it goes below it, it wouldn't be anymore. This area wouldn't be the bearish area. It would be an area below the lower low because a new lower low will be formed. So for the moment, you got to find the area of interest in between the current lower high and lower low. And to find an area of interest, you got to find at least 3 points that touch this area of interest, this zone, to be a valid area of interest. If it's 5, 6, 9, 10, that's fine. It's okay. But if it's only 2 or just 1, it's not okay. It's not a respected zone. So for it to be a respected zone, it has to be touched at least 3 times. So good. Sorry for that. So good. We found the area of interest. So let's say we found the area of interest. Let's go back to the dashboard. So back here on the dashboard, let's say we did this at 18%. Back here on the dashboard, let's say they all touch. So a strong area of interest points touch 3 or more times on the weekly and on the daily time frame. And you're like, you know what? Yes, it did. Both of them did. So it's a 24%. Now the daily and weekly area of interest align in the same zone. What does that mean? It means what it says right there, that the daily area of interest is so close or almost in the same area where the weekly area of interest is. And if it is, that sums up a point. So that would be like a 24%. If it's not really there, but somehow but it's kind of close, you would put like a 12%. But if they don't align at all, they don't touch, they're not nearby, is a 0%. So that will make this market before market opens, because you study the markets on Saturday and Sunday, that will give it a 39. But let's say they did align, that will give it a 62. And then you will be able to save this to table. And once you save this to table, it will save it on your percentage zone. And that's how little by little you go, studying the markets, and you go get it. You start getting the percentage before the market opens. And let's say you save the analysis. Don't forget to save the analysis, because it's really important that you save the analysis. I won't save it here because it will fuck up with my data. But let's say I saved it, right? Let me refresh this so it erases everything over here. Let's say you save the analysis. So it was you before anything happens, you gotta study the whole markets, and you gotta study everything, and you gotta save all the analysis of all these 24 pairs. Once that's done, you, based on the percentage, you fill this up. If it's 39%, it's too little, so I wouldn't be interested in it. I'm interested in the markets that are 70% or 62%. So I'm interested in Euro USD, NCD USD, USD CAD. I'm interested in the GBP USD, USD JPY, NCD JPY, and NCD CAD. So the pairs that I'm interested in, I add a star, something like this, So I add a star. And then once I add the stars, I come back to my saved analysis, and I delete the pairs that don't have the star, and it will just automatically delete all your pairs that you're not interested in. So now you have all these pairs that you're interested in, and you also have a watch list created over here of 7 pairs that you are now interested in and interested in getting into, So great, you have all of this information. So now once the market is open, this saved analysis section is really important, because it's where you will be able to go back to the trading view, to your charts, and study them and fill this up. So there is where you follow your rules, and this way you could not fall into your emotions. So let's say an engulfing candlestick closes on the daily, it should be on the daily. That happens, boom, you add the 8%. And then you come and you say the confirmation candlestick closes. Okay, the confirmation candlestick closed. Great, you add the 8%. Then you see that you're still waiting. You don't get in the market yet. You don't buy, you don't sell, because you still need to fill 2 more things. And then you see this, and you're like, the retest of an area of interest occurs. It happened, so you put the 8%. You still don't enter, because you still need another rule and another thing to happen for you to be able to know that this market will go great. And then you see that the candle respects the area of interest. Once you see that this happens, you click yes, and then it tells you that all rules are complete. A 92% score is ready, and then you save to the table. And once you save to the table, this is NCD CAD over here. This won't be a 72%, it will be a 92%. But since the market hasn't done all of these yet, I haven't really filled this in yet. So I won't really save this to the table. And then, well, that's it, right? Then you get into the market. The only way for you to be able to get into the market will be from 3 a.m. all the way to 10 a.m. 10 a.m. is pushing it. I usually do it from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. local time. So even if there is a pattern where there's something great that you see in the market, if you want to follow your rules, you're like, you know what? It's okay. I got to wait for 3 a.m. through 9 a.m. to enter the market, because I know that there's more volume at that time. So I would wait. Patience is key to be profitable while trading. And then once you do that, it will allow you to enter the trade. You will put an entry window. Of course, you won't enter the trade over here. You would enter the trade on your MetaTrader 4 or whatever app you're using, on your broker, whatever you're using, you will enter the trade. But for you to keep track of it, you will put here the entry window close. And then if you want to, you could come all the way down here, and you could put execution journal. You could put a new entry. You could put the pair, the bias, the area of interest, if it's a support or if it's a resistance, the session percentage, and some notes. And then you could also put a price alert. You can add an alert Say right here, you can select the pair. You could put buy or sell, and you can put the entry price. You could put the stop loss, or and you could put the take profit. That's optional if you want to, you know. So it's really helpful now if you want to really do this, if you want to use this, you know. And then once you close the trade, it will a button would appear over here where it tells you that you close the trade, and then it will put it on your performance, and it will track everything and all your process. So that's how I usually study the markets, and it really saves me a lot of time, and it helps me keep myself disciplined and win more trades and lose more trades. So now coming into the chart and showing real ways I study the market. So now this is trading view, right? The first thing I do is I go to the weekly time frame, right? And I first try to find if the market is bullish or if the market is or if the market is bearish. So this weekly, I found that the market was bullish on the weekly. How did I find that? Well, first let me put the no gaps thing. If you come over here, let's just come all the way over here, right? From this point to this point, I don't really know what this is telling me, but let's come over here to from this point to this point. This market is bullish. Then I see that this over here breaks structure. So now this is a new higher high, and now this is not the higher low. This is the higher low. And then I see that it breaks structure. So now this is the lower low, and this is a higher high. You know, and just like that, I keep going down. I keep seeing that this is a lower low. You know, lower low. Boom, that's a lower low, and now this is a lower high. Good. I'm finding things out. And then boom, I see that the market, the structure is broken. So okay, good. Now this is a new higher high, and this is a new higher low. If you guys see closely, this doesn't break any structure, so it's still a bullish, time frame. So the weekly is bullish in this market. So now if we go to the daily, we find out that this is bearish. So this used to be the lower low, and this used to be the lower high, but now this became the lower low, and this became the new lower high. So this is a bearish time frame. The daily is bearish. If we come to the 4 hour, well, now when the market opened, it became bullish. But when the market was closed, I'm trying to see where it was. So when the market was closed, it's been 2 days. So I'm trying to find where that was. What is it? It's 10:41. Okay. So 1, 2. So this is where it closed. I'm just trying to find it in the 4 hour. Okay, yeah. So this is where it was. So when the market was indeed closed, this right here was bearish. So this was bearish. So that's why I said that the market was bearish for the 4 hour. But now it's become bullish, as you guys can definitely see. Right now, it closed over here. So now this is a new higher high, and this is a new higher low. So now this is bullish. So what do I do now? Now this market is kind of weird because I usually don't get in markets that where the weekly is bullish and then the daily is bearish and then the 4 hour is bullish. But I'm currently seeing some potential in this market. I'm still not getting into it, but if I go to the daily time frame, I kind of see this engulfing candlestick. I'm gonna call it like that. This engulfing candlestick to the upside. You guys can see this candle engulfing this candle right here and pushing to the upside. Okay, so that's one thing that happened, right? That's one thing in my rules. If the daily, it has to be on the daily. It cannot be on the 4 hour. It cannot be on the weekly or the 2 hour. It has to be on the daily. If there's an engulfing candlestick on the daily, that's a great sign. But now I need to find a confirmation candle, which is a candle that goes up. That keeps going up. So that I try to find it on the 4 hour. So right here, this was a confirmation candle that went up. And now that I see a confirmation candle, I need to find a retracement to the area of interest to see if this market will respect this area of interest. With that, I will find it on the 2 hour. And on the 2 hour, we see that this candle right here respected the area of interest, and it retraced and it came back to the area of interest. But once it came back to the area of interest, it kind of didn't close in the area of interest or below the area of interest. It closed almost right there by the area of interest. And I'm like, okay, great. So now what I want to see is two more candles. This is closing in 15 minutes, but then I want to see another candle closed in 2 hours as well, above this candlestick. So in this case, it will be the 4 hour. I want to see this 4 hour candlestick close above this, and this bearish candle right here, and I want to see it engulfed it, like go above it. Once this 4 hour goes above this candlestick, I'm gonna wait for the 2 hour time frame to close another candlestick above it, and then it will be like 3 a.m. because currently right now it's 10:44. So it's 10:44, 10, 10, 10, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so it's like 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. Yeah. So this 4 hour candlestick will be closing at 1. This 4 hour candlestick will be closing at 1. And then the 2 hour candles, the 2 hour time frame will close at 3 exactly. If at 3 a.m. this 2 hour candlestick closes above, almost all the way over here, I know for a fact that this market will be going to the upside. And then I will be placing a long position, probably like right here. I usually go for, this the retracement, like the path that the last candlestick took. So that won't be a lot. And then I usually go for 1 to 3, 1 to 2. So that would be fair. I mean, if we come over here, I try to find a right area of interest, but on the 4 hour. And I mean, we can see a lot of touches over here. That's not how you find an area of interest, though. That's not how you find an area of interest. And I will explain in this video how you find an area of interest. But this looks like a point where the market has usually come and respected a lot. You know, I don't I don't look for area of interest, but for purpose of the time that I have right now, this is how I'm show it. You know, and that would be like 1,087 pips. You know, it would be like a 1 to 3 risk to reward. It's fine. That's how I trade. I don't know how you trade, how much you risk, but this is how I trade. And great. But now, what is the right way to find the area of interest? The right way to find the area of interest is inside the market, inside this market over here. You know, this is how I found these areas of interest. Now, how did I find these areas of interest? So I learned this from I've learned my trading, the way I trade. I learned it from somebody else on YouTube, free content, and I've been trading for about 2 years already, and I've been making a lot of progress, and I've been going through failure, and I've been learning, and I've made a lot of money, and I lost a lot of money, and I made more money. So I feel like I know what I'm talking about, and if you feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, then don't watch this video, don't listen to me. But if you want to learn and you want to stick in the process with me, and you want to be in this journey with me, because I'm gonna be 100% real with you, and let's do this. You know, right now I'm gonna build this up. You know, I'm building this up. So yeah, so the way I found this area of interest is okay. Let's tie this right. I usually put a big box right here from the lower since this is a bullish weekly time frame. I don't start from the bottom and go up. I start from the top and go down to find the area of interest. If it was bearish, I would go from the bottom to the top, you know. But if since it's bullish, I'm going from the top to the bottom. And you would understand this now. So instead of looking at the candlesticks, I look at the line charts, and then I try to find potential points. So I go down, I go down, I go down, I go down, I go down. This is how I found the first area of interest. And if you see, boom, it went down. It has like 1 point here, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4, right? So then I put this all the way up, and I make sure that this is no longer than 62 pips. You know, so this is like a 49, let's say 50. So that's fine. So then we go back to the candles, and on the candles we will try to see some touches. So here we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7. You know, it's fine. So it's good. It has more than 3 touches, and it looks like it's been respected before, right? So that's how I found the area of interest, and that's how I was able to find my second area of interest as well, which it's right here. Cancel. Cancel. Which it will be right here. It has 1, 2, 3, 4. That's more than 3 points, you know. So that's how I was able to find those area of interest, and I did the same thing on the daily area of interest. And now the question that was asked in my forex strategy assistant was, do the area of interest points touch or are almost in the same space? So if you want to be able to see that, you could come here to the visibility on the rectangle, and you could put the weekly to view the weekly. This is why I have this daily area of interest tool right here, and boom, you can see that these areas of interest do match and almost have the same touches. So that's a point for me. You know, that's a percentage for me where I'm able to say, okay, this market actually respects this zone a lot more. And then I don't look for an area of interest on the 4 hour. I make the area of interest from the daily be on the hour time frames. You know, so this area of interest is the same as this area of interest. And then here is where I will wait for my signals. So in this case, on the NCD cat, I saw this, you know, candlestick engulfed this bearish candlestick. So I'm like, okay, great, that's 1 point for me. The area this candlestick was engulfing this candlestick. So now I go to the 4 hour time frame, and I saw that this was a confirmation candle, and now I need to see a retest to the area of interest. And I saw this happening right here, the retest to the area of interest. Also on the 2 hour time frame, it happened on the retest to the area of interest. And now I want to see a respect to the area of interest, which is what I will be waiting for until 3 a.m. If it doesn't happen, I will not be entering this market. If it does happen, I will be entering. But I also do have other, you know, markets at like GBP USD and Euro USD, which are mostly important for me right now. The other ones are still taking a lot of time. They might be for next week or maybe never, you know. So those are the most important charts for me. So yeah, this is how I study the market. Oh, so it's me again with NZD Cap here, and let's talk about what happened on the week, why I got into this trade, and what are the things that I learned from this trade, and what are the things that I saw that make me get into this pair. You know, so let's go, let's do this. So on the last video, I was talking about the daily time frame, creating this engulfing candlestick over here, and engulfing this bearish white candle, as you guys can see. And I was like, that must be a sign, right? So then I went to the 4 hour time frame, and I was waiting for the confirmation candle, and it did happen. And then I was waiting for it to retest and it did happen. And then I was waiting for it to respect the area of interest, and it also happened. But then when that happened, I was also looking at the daily time frame, and this daily time frame was creating this bearish candle, And the thing is that I studied this market before, the market opened, and I was like, if this daily candlestick right here engulf is this small, tiny candlestick, which usually when this happens, it means that it's engulfing and it's giving you the signal, right? And it did engulf this candlestick, and it did close over here. So once that happened, I was like, okay, let me not buy on this because I see potential for it to go down. So then I went to the 4 hour candlestick to see the confirmation candle, right? So this right here is, the daily candlestick that engulfed this, bearish, small bearish candlestick. So then I went to the 4 hour and I waited for a confirmation candlestick, which this right here, let's get rid of this. This right here, this candlestick, this bearish candlestick is the confirmation candlestick that I was looking for, and it closed right here. So now when that happened, I was looking for a retest to the area of interest. So then I usually do that on the 2 hour time frame. So then I went to the 2 hour time frame and I was looking for this retest, which it did happen. It indeed happened. It came back to the area of interest, and it didn't close, not even inside of the area of interest. It closed like just somehow touching it. So good, that happened. And now, once that happens, I'm waiting for a respect of area of interest, a candle that respects this area of interest. That instead of going all the way up, it goes down and closes. So usually, I do this on the 2 hour time frame. But then I noticed that the 2 hour time frame is not a lot of, confirmation. It's not a good signal for me, because it's just the 2 hour. What happens in the other 2 hours? The candle could just go up. So, so I did that, and the 4 hour time frame closed over here, and this is where I actually entered the market, expecting this pair to go all the way down and be a bearish pair. But then all of a sudden news happened, and maybe that was my mistake, and that is a lesson that I learned, that I shouldn't be trading on a week with that is full of news, because it just sucks. But it's okay. So then it came up, it hit my stop loss, and I lost a trade, and I was like, okay, it's fine. I actually don't feel mad about this because I follow all my rules, and all the steps that I was supposed to follow, I followed. You know what I mean? So if that happened, that happened. Great. There will be more opportunities in the market through the year, through the weeks, and that's how you learn. That's how I've been learning. So next week will be great. So this Saturday and Sunday, I will be studying the markets, and I will be going through you guys through the markets and showing you guys how I study the markets and how I study every pair that I look at. And then I will be making another video talking about how I enter the markets and what pairs I will be entering, just like this one. So if you guys want to keep in touch and be in the journey with me, do it. If you guys don't, then it was nice that you guys saw this video. So yeah, stay safe and stay tuned. So now I already lost the trade, and I only trade one time or two times through the week. If I lose a trade, I don't trade anymore because then I will be trading based on emotions, and I will be trying to make everything up again. So that wouldn't be good for me. So in this case, we were looking at the safe analysis. We were looking at NZD CAD, and we were looking at GBP USD. GBP USD was a good pair, but we didn't really get into it, and we got into NZD CAD. We lost it. That is fine. So now we will be saving this pair, this week's analysis. So we save the week's analysis, and that's it. Now we don't have any more saved analysis because we're done with the week. Now let's go back to our table, market analysis. Let's save the week. We saved the week. Let's come over here. Trading history. We have 2 weeks over here. Great. And now we reset the week, and now we are so ready for next week, and we are ready to study the market for next week once the market closes at 5 by Friday. Friday at 5 o'clock, the market will close, and then we'll be ready to study the markets, the pairs, and be ready for next week and make some money. Make or lose money. But we are in the markets, and we are making this happen, right? So that's great. Just don't give up, keep going, and never stop. Let me